and we're just waiting to broadcast. We're live on YouTube, and we're COMP2068, and it's winter 2016 semester, and it's week 1, lesson 1, part 1, and we're talking about what this course is all about at this point, right? And who am I anyway, right? My name is Tom, and I'm your instructor for this semester. I've got about 30 years in the industry. I've worked at Georgian for since 2011, and I've done many different projects from a computer perspective, everything from being a programmer all the way to being a manager of managers, and so on. So lots of industry experience. And I also work at another college as a professor as well. So I'm part-time here, but I do, this is what I do. I'm a professor pretty much full-time, right? What I also do is I teach on one side, I'm doing kind of web technologies here at Georgian, right? But I also, at another college, I also teach game programming. So if you're a game person, like if you like playing, Fallout 4, which, I spent a lot of my Christmas and New Year's playing, then, then you're with me, right? We're all good to go, right? And so I understand game, and the reason why I'm introducing it like that is because if you can do game programming with JavaScript, right, then you're going to be a JavaScript superhero, right? Because you got to figure out it's much more complex to build a game in that way than building any kind of low-level application here at school. Like, you can probably outthink it. If I give you like a little simple calculator to build, like in Java, build a calculator, right? You'll outthink it. You'll know how to build it because it's just simple UI. But what if it's a game? What if it's a more complex app, like the one we're going to get you to build, your first app here in the mean stack? It takes planning, right? So there's several components here that you're going to have to learn when it comes to JavaScript. And part of it is, how do I navigate JavaScript? How do I attach JavaScript to my index.html? And how do I separate my concerns? Who's done a pure JavaScript course before? Anybody? All right, we're going to talk about your level of skill in a second. But this is a good thing because it means that I have to gauge what you guys know so that I can, focus more on one thing and less on another. So we're going to be building things with the mean stack, and we'll talk about what the mean stack is. But let's go over the syllabus a little bit so you know what this course is all about and the timing for everything. Okay, so the syllabus is up online for you if you want to take a look at Blackboard. And it looks like this. Okay, so we're meeting here on Thursdays at B2:30, this crazy locked room. We have a book for this course, actually. It's a packed book, Mean Web Development, 2014. It's a pretty recent book, and it covers everything. And I'm going to follow the book to a great degree. So there'll be, like, you'll see me, I'll be marching down chapter after chapter, right? I may not provide every PowerPoint for the book, because there's going to be some times like today where a PowerPoint just doesn't make any sense. We've got nonstop setup today, like I said. And I fully expect that that's going to take the majority of our time. I do, however, have a lab for you to do by the end of the day, which is set up your GitHub account and all that kind of stuff. And if you have a GitHub account, that's okay. You're going to get a free 2% from me today, right? And I'm actually paying for it in advance. This is like your bonus that I'm going to give you, right? So I'm paying for you to learn GitHub, right? And my payment is your 2% bonus if you do it on time, if you do it by today. All right, so let's take a look and see what it's going to look like for me. Right, so here's my assignments, my schedule for assignments right now from a syllabus perspective. So lab 1 again will be today for a 2% bonus. And if you notice, there's a bunch of quizzes. You're like, man, this guy's quiz crazy, right? Yeah. In the past, I've noticed this. If I fully engage you with some kind of learning activity that is worth marks every single class that you're in, then it makes sense to come to class, right? You may decide not to come to class because it's only 2% that you're going to lose, right? Every single class, right? But at the end of the day, what it's going to do for you is it's going to keep you sharp. I'm going to ask you questions on your quizzes starting next week on today, and the next week after that on the previous week, every single time. So it's going to be 5 to 10 questions worth 2% of your mark, and I'm going to give you the answers here in class. I'm say, well, this is going to be on your quiz, or that's going to be on your quiz, or whatever. Chances are the questions I talk about are probably going to be on your quiz. So there's going to be 10 of those. 10 of those times 2%, 20%. So I break out the marks like this. I say, I want to make my midterm as a practical. I don't want to do any, I'm going to quiz you to death, right? And throughout the semester. So there's no point me doing some kind of Q&A, multiple choice kind of stuff during midterm. It'll be pure practical. So you have to build something. All right, so in order for you to get good and to build something, you need to do it. If you aren't fast enough doing it, if you don't have enough practice, you're going to choke on the midterm because there's just, I need you to build something with the mean stack, the stuff we've talked about already, right? And if you can't do it, you won't be able to do it. You won't be able to pass. So it's a hands-on kind of course. Let's take a look at other stuff. So quiz 6, quiz 7, all this stuff keeps going to quiz 10. So the first part of the semester is all around here. Here's Node.js. Here's my assignment 1 that I'm going to probably give you. Like I said, it's going to be due around February 17th, right? So you got lots of time to take this one. This first assignment is, I'm going to hand it to you probably next week. That's when I'm going to give it to you. And it's going to be building your portfolio site with Express.js and Node, right? So you're going to use the mean stack to some degree, at least the front-end technology is the mean stack, not the back-end, to build your portfolio site. And if you've done a portfolio site before, because some of you have, right, you can certainly convert it to Express, right? So that, I fully expect that. So I'm going to give you all the details about that next week. But again, it's due February 17th, so you got lots of time for that. And it's a bit of a bigger one. It's about 15% of your final mark, right? Because it requires, there's quite a few requirements on this one, right? So that's that one. So we kind of chug along after we have a couple of labs and so on, and we do our midterm, right? So for the first part, really it's all around your portfolio and you're learning about Express.js and Node for the first half of the course, right? And if you look at it, it's kind of aligned with our schedule. So again, we're going to do an intro to mean, MVC, NPM, the cloud, all that stuff today, right? We're going to talk about JavaScript Basics today as well, and a little bit of TypeScript. That's all the setup that I'm talking about, right? Next week, we're going to get into more JavaScript. And when I say basics, I mean functions. So if you haven't done JavaScript before, I'm going to get you right into functions, right? Because this course is function-laden. It's function heavy. And if you haven't done functions, you don't understand JavaScript functions and how they work. They work a little differently than they do in other languages, right? And in that, they're very flexible. And that kind of makes people mad, right? Because, programmers want things to be very strict, right? And the stricter they are, if you understand how things go, if there's a pattern to everything, you're good. And the problem with JavaScript is it's a little chaotic when you look at somebody else's code sometimes. It looks like spaghetti, right? And that's a bad thing. So you want to get away from that. So that's week 2. By week 3, like I said, we'll get into more of Node.js as part 2. And then we're going to get into Express by week 4. So there's kind of a beat to everything. Now, this schedule, I might accelerate a little bit in terms of when we start doing Node and everything else. I can't fully dive into Node.js today, only because if you don't know JavaScript, right? If we haven't touched on JavaScript, and some of you don't know it, you guys are going to be like, it'll be over your head, right? And I don't want that to happen. I don't want you to go, I don't think I could be successful in this course. I never want you to say that. And it might happen because there's so many things happening all at the same time, right? So instead of me doing that, I want you to take it easy, right? And basically, what we're going to talk about is, all the ancillary technologies you need in order for you to get ready, right? And that includes JavaScript. So I'm going to do a bit of an intro today. So if you don't understand something today, don't freak out because I'm going to cover it again, right? And I'm going to tell you what you need to study for next week's quiz. Okay, so I'm going to say, you need to know this, you need to know this, you need to know this. Write it down, right? It's going to be closed book. It's not going to be an open book quiz. So it's not going to be something that you're going to be able to look it up and go, oh, I'm going to look at his PowerPoint, so I'm going to go up online and watch his videos while I'm doing the quiz. Or it's not going to happen. I want you to know what you were talking about. So you need to be kind of present in the class. Like you need to actually pay attention and do what I'm asking you to do. Part of it is the setup, and it kills people. So we're going to pause the video at times. I'm going to do the video now, and so you know what my expectations are. And then there's going to come a point where I need to go around and check each one of you pretty much to make sure you're set up. Because if you can't set up now, down the road when we do our exam, you're going to be in trouble. We can't have that. We have to have you perfectly running by that point. And again, there's different scenarios. Some students have access to laptops. Some people have access to nothing. They have the school computer to rely on, right? So that's got to work fine. So there's some options for us to, in order for us to do that. I'm going to introduce these options to you. Okay, so again, the first part is all around Node, Express, Mongo, which is your document database. So instead of a relational database like we normally use, the mean stack uses MongoDB, right, which is a NoSQL database. It's a flat database that looks very similar to JSON. When you look at JSON format, if you've ever seen that, it looks like that. And we'll talk about what that is if you don't know what that is. We have our midterm exam in the middle, and then we start talking about the really hard stuff. This stuff might seem hard if you've never done it before, but the really hard stuff is in the second half. And what I mean by that is you have assignment 2, which is all around authentication, with Express, and we're going to talk about that. Then we start doing Angular. And with all respect to Angular, Angular requires a course and a half of its own, right? So we're mashing it in. We've got like Angular, we got Node, we got Express, we've got Mongo. Each one of these topics could be a course of their own, right? So, and that's why we call it the mean stack course. And I don't want mean to be mean to you, right? So please, I need you to be hands-on, full-time, every time you're here. If you think this is a you watch, I do course, that's the wrong approach. I'm telling you, you'll suffer, right? Please don't do it that way. Get in there, slow me down, put your hand up, say, Tom, you're going too fast, right? Tom, can you upload to GitHub, right? Tom, can you do me that? Can you show me that again, right? Because otherwise you won't get it. And it's not because I want to rush by it. It's just there's a lot of material, and there's only so much time. Okay, so that's one part. So the second half is harder because we're going to do full CRUD. We're talking about with Angular and Node and Express. And then you're going to have this big project, right? So typically what happens is you have assignment 1 and 2, 3 is with Angular, and then you have a big project that starts off somewhere around week 10 is when you're going to get it, right? We're going to give you your project in that range. So you're going to get your project around week 10. And then it's due in parts, and I'm not sure why it's not here, but it's due in parts, piece parts every single week until the end. And why have I done that? Because this is a big project that you can work with you and 2 other people. Now you might say, wow, I don't need 2 other people. I'm a superstar. I can do this on my own. You need 2 other people, all right? Should I say it again? Don't do this on your own, all right? This is dumb if you do it on your own. Pick a good team, all right? Don't pick the dogs in the room. Don't pick people who say, I need your help. I really don't understand, and can you help me because I'm not really strong at coding, and can I be a part of your team? No. Sorry, pick your team, right? I'm not going to pick your team for you. You're going to pick your own team. If you really don't want to work with anybody else, you can. But it just means it's going to be that much more of a challenge for you. I'm just telling you in advance. This project is a beast, all right, by the end. And the reason why is because you're using all the technologies, right? So imagine I'm teaching you all the technologies, and by the end, I got to use them all successfully to build a big project. I need horsepower. I need 2 people to help me out. 1 person to design stuff, another person to do the back end, a 3rd person to organize. There's just so many things to do. And you're going to combine all that, and then you're going to collaborate on GitHub, right? I'm not trying to scare you away. I'm telling you this is what it is, right? So 3 of you is a good team. 4, I'd even accept in certain circumstances. I'll tell you right now. So please figure it out ahead of time. And there's going to be some options. There's going to be a few options that I'm going to give you what to build. You're not going to be able to build anything you want. I have a few options that you can choose, right? And the reason for that, again, is because when I give someone anything they want, they write themselves into a black hole, right? And then they don't do anything, right? The other thing is, if you notice, each week there's something due in the end, right? Let's take a look, right? So not only are you getting quizzes, because I'm going to still teach you Angular all the way down the line, right? Because you need to learn Angular to be successful. But also, each milestone of the project is broken out into a smaller part, and they're each worth 5%. So that way, you do one part, and if you miss that part, oh well. That's done. We're moving on to the next part. And I'm not going to remark that part. It's done, right? So it's due. You and your team, 3 of you, or 4, get together, produce a part, right? And I mark that part. Now you move to the next piece. And that way it guarantees that you'll finish by the end. Because if I went in the past, when I've let the reins go, and me and Rich were working together on this, right, the last time, by week 12, I had people starting. Start my project now, right? That's insane. You need 4 weeks to do this thing, and you need 3 people to do this thing, and of course the marks suffered as a result. So please, this is worth 20% of your final grade, right? So it'll strongly affect the way it goes. The other assignments are smaller, but they're still quite a bit of an impact. Like for example, assignment 2 authentication is worth 10, and assignment 1 is worth 15, right? Assignment 3, which is just an Angular to-do app, is worth 10 as well. So right there, you're looking at, it's a heavily assignment-laden thing. And the quizzes just keep you on point. They're just like a little 2% to check to see if you're on track there. You're keeping up with the knowledge. You still use your tools and everything else. And by the end, I fully expect you guys to be very comfortable with the mean stack. All right? So questions around this schedule. This is the schedule we're going to follow, right? Now, if there's going to be changes, something might happen. We have a snow, something happens with the snow, whatever, right? What if you can't make it to class, like a legitimate, I can't make it to class, Tom, right? You know, I'm going to password the quizzes, so they're only for people that come to class. If it's legit, like if you're sick or something like that and you have a doctor's note, cool. I'll let you write it again, right? I mean, if that's how it's going to be. But barring that, it's you, right? It's you know, I expect you to fully come in and do it. I'm going to do them at the beginning of class, right? So they're going to be 5-minute quizzes, 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes to finish it off, 10 questions. Boom, 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 you do it and you're done, right? And you got your 2%. And like I said, I'm giving you 2% in advance with this GitHub lab today to pay for some of this stuff. In fact, if anything, if you calculate all these numbers here, it's out of 103. That means you get 1% bonus baked in, right? Even without the lab today. So that means like you could really fail like one complete quiz and still come up with 100%. Okay, just FYI. And I built it that way for a reason. I know that it's not always easy to remember everything, and lots of stuff going on. You have other courses happening and everything else, and this is going to keep you on the ball, right? But it's also going to make you guys sharp with JavaScript, right? And that's what I want you guys to come out with. So any other questions around this, right? Lots of technology to learn today, and I'm going to talk about what I want you to download. And before I stop talking, for this part, I want you, before we break, I'm going to stop the recording now. I want you to download Visual Studio Code, because that's the first piece I want you to download. We're going to use that exclusively in this course for what we do. So Visual Studio Code, it's a lightweight code editor. It's made by Microsoft, but it's cross-platform. It works on Windows, Mac, and Linux. It's not 70 million lines of code like Visual Studio 2015, 2013. It's very lightweight, and it's made with TypeScript, right? So it's kind of an up-and-coming editor that a lot of people at Google as well as Microsoft are using to build mean stack, full stack applications, right? So download, if you don't have this already, and if you're using your own personal machine, Visual Studio Code. That's one requirement, okay? And we'll go from there. So I'm going to pause the video now while you guys are doing that. And then when we come back, I'll get into more requirements of what you have to do. Okay?